How we doing, y'all?
Good. How are you?
You guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, if they don't address a question to one of you, welcome everyone to North Carolina's press conference. Let me give you a couple of announcements quick, and then we'll get to the questions. Please remember to silence your cell phones. Media members, provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question. If you're joining on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions, and we will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. Recording of press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. Today for North Carolina, we have Alyssa Usby, Maria Gokdang, and Lexi Dinarski. And we'll start with questions in the room, so feel free to raise your hand and we'll come to you. Remember, name and affiliation first.
Yes.
There we go.
Sorry. So, I just wanted to ask, from COVID season where there was barely any fans in the stands to now that you're hosting NCAA tournament games, how much are you looking forward to this moment tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow because I've been able to witness firsthand the growth of this program from, like you said, 2020 during COVID all the way to what it is now. And I just credit all the great people that have came here and have poured everything they had into this program to get it where it is today.
Hi, Alyssa. Doug Bunjor, AP. On that note, kind of with the growth of the program, what does it mean just to have a game, first round at home and, kind of see that come to fruition?
Yeah, it means a lot. Hosting was one of our goals in the beginning of the season, and to finally have it be tomorrow is something that's super exciting. And all of us girls have been working really hard all season, and so it's just something that we're honored to be able to give back to the community for, because we have so many great fans in Carmichael that continue to support us every single game, and it only feels right to bring them the first two rounds of the March Madness tournament home.
Matt Krause, Tar Heel Sports Network from Learfield. For Maria, Coach Banghart always calls you, quote, a problem. Why do you think that you are, quote, a problem for other teams?
Just knowing, everybody knows, and we know as a team, and other teams know when we play them. Once I get the ball in the low post, there's no answer for me, and that's why she calls me a problem every game. So just knowing that once we play through me, get the ball to me, but knowing the double's coming, but also knowing how to play out of doubles, score easily, I feel like that's the reason I'm a problem. So yeah.
Down here to the right.
Doug Feinberg, the Associated Press. For all three of you, what is your first March Madness memory watching it as a kid? Is there a game you remember, a play you remember? Someone said the other day that the Enrique shot to beat UConn was their first memory. Is there anything you remember as a kid growing up watching March Madness?
Lexi, why don't you start and we'll go down the row.
Yeah, I would say as a kid, when March Madness started in the round of 64 and 32, my parents always took me and my sister out of school to just watch basketball all day. So that was where it really started in elementary school. These were the days we got off school just to watch a lot of basketball, and it was a lot of fun.
I would say there was no set memory, but in class having those brackets, setting up brackets with your class, and then watching games throughout the school day. I feel like that was so much fun with your friends. So now being able to be that person on TV that kids are watching has been like a full circle moment. So
My answer is similar to Maria's. I'd fill out brackets in middle school, and I'd usually pick the teams that I thought would win based on their school colors or their mascots, and because that's all I really knew about basketball at the time.
Down to the right.
For either one of y'all, Mitch North of SB Nation, sorry. I'm curious what you've seen kind of on film of Oregon State and what you're sort of prepared for, what stood out to you about them.
Alyssa, we'll start with you.
Oregon State has some good length, and we've played against length before in Kentucky, and so we just have a similar mindset in going into that game of how you play against height, which we want to make a move side to side and not as much try to compete with them by putting shots over top of them. And so just kind of reminding ourselves of those principles because we haven't played a team with such great height in a while.
Maria?
I would say making sure we get out in transition, knowing that they can't really keep up with us as we get the ball down the floor, rebounding, getting out. They have scrappy guards and some big post players, and they play a lot of zone. So making sure that we just keep moving, get the ball moving in zone.
Lexi, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I agree with what they said. Just play with speed to counteract their height.
Down in front?
Lexi or Maria, what did you learn late in the season when Alyssa and Renai were out? How important was it just to kind of persevere through that and bounce back in ACC tournament when they returned?
Lexi, go ahead.
Yeah, this team is so connected, and obviously we want them to be playing with us, and those games were challenging when they weren't, but just playing for them because we know that they still want us to succeed even though they can't be out on the court with us, and just making it through each game until they're back with us, which thankfully they both are now. So yeah, just really coming together and fighting.
Yeah, just continuing for both of us to keep playing our roles as captains, as starters, but having those people off the bench that we know we have a deep bench, we know people that we can play, and having them come on the floor, making sure that they know that we're confident in them and that we can, keep playing without our other two starters, but, playing for them was really important. So,
Matt, go ahead.
Earlier, as you sit here in this practice gym and you think about your 5 years here and having the opportunity to host now, what does all that mean to you for your role in this program?
It's super special, and even like you said, being in this practice gym, this wasn't here for majority of my career, and like I said before, just to witness the growth firsthand of this program and all of the elements that come with it is something that's super special. I've been wanting to host every single year that we've had like the opportunity to in March, and it's like it feels good to finally get over that hump, and I felt like we finally had the right pieces that were all bought into the same goal, the same mission, and it's just really rewarding. Like, we put in so much work since in the beginning of the summer, and so we're finally reaping those benefits now.
Down to the front.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Alyssa, just to follow up on my question before, was Carolina far in your bracket as a kid because of the color scheme and the mascot?
Yes, it's my like Carolina blue is my favorite color, so they're always making it.
Three of you, just what is Coach Banghart like as a coach? I know from her time at Princeton, she was a player-led type coach. What is she like for you guys?
Lexi, go ahead and start, and we'll work our way down.
Yeah, she cares a lot, and she does what she needs to get the most out of all of us, both as a team and individually, and she'll push us, she'll get on us when she needs to, but really she's really good at just building that team atmosphere that brings us all together so we can be a player-led team, because you need leadership on the court to win big games.
Yeah, very effective coaching. I would say she's very solution-oriented. We ran into a lot of injuries last year, but even this year, we had to just regroup a couple of times, and I think we fared well no matter what. And I think she does a great job of just making sure that we all know that we're confident in each other to go out and win games.
Something that I admire about Coach Banghart is how every single year she's had a different team, and those teams have had different needs. And I felt like this year she's done a really good job at infusing all of us with confidence, because we all have the basketball IQ and the understanding of how we need to play the game and what the game plan is. And so, like, her role has been really great in just infusing us with confidence and making sure that we feel prepared and ready to go out and do what we already know we can.
Go down here to the left.
Kate Shoemaker of the Daily Tar Heel. For all three of you, obviously, we're in your practice gym. We're interviewing you in a different setting, and you're still at home. But how has this week felt different? No March Madness branding, all of that, but has it felt strange at all, kind of practicing in this setting?
Alyssa, we'll start with you and work down.
It has felt a little different just because of like the access to our facilities is a lot different, and we have different schedules that we have to kind of like work our days around. But although it's kind of weird, it feels special. Like, it feels like something that we've earned and something that we're excited for.
Yeah, I would say it is a little bit weird, but like a good kind of a feeling to it, especially since like last year we had to travel to get ready to play over in South Carolina, and then for me the year before that, like this wasn't even a reality for me, like playing in the tournament. So this is a weird feeling, but I think we've earned it. So I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I would just say that we're all seniors too, so this is our last time to take all of that in, and I feel like we've really been doing that all week long, and we will continue to as we get closer and closer to game time.
Matt, go ahead.
Lexi, earlier Liz talked about pieces and how this team has the right pieces. You were a player that didn't have a relationship with Coach Banghart when you went into the portal, but she sought you out as a piece to make this all click. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I mean, Coach Banghart is a great recruiter, and the second I started talking to her and got on campus, I was like, that's someone that I want to play for. That's a program that I want to be a part of. So it means a lot, and I've really enjoyed my time at Carolina and want to keep this season going as long as we can.
Anything else, folks? Down here to the left.
Yeah, Matthew Maynard, the Tar Heel Tribune. Alyssa, you obviously didn't get to play here in Carmichael on your senior night. So how special is it for you to get to play potentially 2 more games in Carmichael and kind of have, a senior night of your own?
No, it's a great question. Not being able to play on my senior night was absolutely heartbreaking. I was so upset that I didn't get to play on the court that I've poured so much into for the last 5 years. And so that made me even more urgent to secure that hosting spot. And so that drove a lot of my recovery process. I wanted to get back as fast as I could from injury just to help my team make sure that we secured that opportunity for a host so that I could play on that Carmichael court again. And I'm just so excited. And again, I just can't reiterate enough of how proud I am of this group for getting that done and finally get to play on the court again.
Down to the right.
Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. Alyssa, you've not only seen this program grow, but you've seen women's sports and women's basketball in particular grow from a few years ago being able to finally officially say March Madness, and now this year with the units. What do you think about how you've experienced the growth of the women's basketball game, and where do you hope it goes in the future?
I've been really fortunate to be alongside so many women's basketball players that have a lot of courage and use their voices to speak up for change and have been just trailblazers in that industry, whether they're still in college or coming into college, and especially in the WNBA, there's so many players that contributed to growing this game where it needs to go. And I see it just continuing to expand. I mean, the coolest thing I've seen is I have 3 older brothers, and none of them watched any women's sports, especially women's basketball, because it just didn't seem like that was something they were interested in. And now all they care about is women's basketball. They found a different sense of joy and pride in what the women's game offers over the men's. And so it's just been really cool, again, to witness firsthand how the change has impacted my life directly and my family's.
Anything else for the ladies? We're clean on Zoom. Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, ladies. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, we have head coach Courtney Banghart here, and we will open it up to questions. Raise your hand, and the mic guy will come by.
Hey, Courtney, Doug Feinberg, the AP. There's a lot of really good basketball in this area this weekend with the 3 women's teams hosting and the men's first round site in Raleigh. What does it say about the area having so much, being basically the center of attention for the NCAA tournament this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, how lucky for the people that live in this area. You look at, I think I saw Kelly Graves saying that it's for as long as he's known women's basketball, it's been the epicenter. The Triangle has been the epicenter of basketball. And we sense a sense of pride for that, a sense of responsibility to it, right? That you don't want to be the one left out, right? And so you've got really good teams on the men's and women's side all within an hour radius. You want to make sure that your team's there and holding its side up. Remember when I got this job, I think, there were us and Duke and some other guys that weren't sort of where we are right now. And I know we've kind of all been, as much as it's hard to say, kind of secretly rooting for each other to bring basketball back here. And I think it's arrived.
Hey, Courtney, Doug Bonjour, AP. First time in your tenure here hosting a first-round game. Just what does that mean to you, and kind of obviously says something about the growth of the program?
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, That's probably one of the things I'm not really good at is reflecting, and I've really worked hard at that because I recognize how much effort and energy and intentionality goes into a journey like this. And so I've really been intentional to reflect on how hard it is to do. There's a lot of heavyweights in women's basketball, but you are one of the heavyweights when you're hosting in March. And it's one of those things. It's not political. It's actually performance based. And so, seeing all this March Madness stuff, knowing that I can be at my son's game tomorrow morning before coming to my own and things like that, it's pretty remarkable. So really proud of, as Alyssa so eloquently said, there's a lot of people that have put their effort into this. We've gotten some administrative support. We've gotten a lot of, really good recruiting people that have trusted me. We've gotten great staff people that have poured into this program. And so I'm kind of the spokesperson for a lot of people that have given so much for us to be in a spot.
Mitch Northam, SB Nation. Courtney, kind of curious what you've seen so far from Oregon State. They're obviously a completely different team from last year, but they did go to the Elite Eight last year with the same coach anyways. What has stood out to you about them on film?
Well, first off, Scott Rueck's one of the best coaches in the game. He's won at every single level. He's found ways to win in different ways. So you're going against someone who's going to be prepared, and he's going to bring his team. He's going to play to his strengths in a way that puts his team in a position to be successful. They've got above average length in all ways, even from basketball standpoint. So they've got great length, like Kentucky did. They're going to mix and match their defenses, so they're going to really play a sagging style, both in man-to-man and in zone. So they use their pieces to their strengths. And so, it's March, and as I told our guys, there's just no bad teams anymore. They're all just different. And we'll have to make sure that we're prepared to play against this different Oregon State team.
Matt, go ahead and identify yourself for the transcript.
Matt Krause, Tar Heel Sports Network. Coach, last night was the first women's basketball game in Carmichael since February 2019 that you were not in one of the coaches' boxes for. So first off, how weird did that feel? And B, how much pride did you feel that it was your former assistant that got the win in said game?
I mean, how cool, right? I go to the game as I was kind of conflicted in a lot of ways because I wanted to go and just be a fan because I just like college basketball. And as a women's coach, you don't get to go see games live. So I got to go see games live. But yet you're also preparing because you're paying enough attention in case that's a team you might see down the road. And then you're also watching one of the coaches that coached with you Megan was on my staff for 6 years, and watching her grow into her own identity as a coach and have her team play to her personality. I'm so filled with pride, right? So I'm not supposed to be rooting for anybody, but, and then my other former player is the head coach at Lehigh, who's playing Duke tomorrow. Or now today, and so her parents came to the game. So I get to see all these parents and people that have watched when I was young. So yeah, it was really special, and I was kind of conflicted in a lot of ways, but I paid enough attention.
Mitch Northam, SB Nation, kind of piggybacking off of that. I don't know how many coaches in the NCAA tournament have 3 of their former assistants players coaching also in this tournament, and they're all also right here.
Isn't that crazy?
We saw Addie yesterday at Duke, Carrie's over at NC State, and Megan's here. What is it like?
It's awesome. I mean, you've been doing it long enough that I've got assistant coaches kind of littered through the business across all levels. But to watch them have so much success and then to be put in this area, I've gotten to see their families. I've gotten to, you get to secretly kind of see them at times and root for them and give them a pat on the back and a hug. And, and it means that your time with them, not that you need it to be validated, but my time with them is a part of their journey. And that's partly why you get into coaching, is so you can be a meaningful part of other people's journeys. And for Carrie and Addie and Megan, I was a meaningful part of their journey as they were for me, right? And so I think it's as cool for me that they're here as it is for them. They all said, look at you, and I said, look at us. I mean, it's this kind of a us thing, so it's been very cool.
Hi, Courtney, Dr. Bonjour, AP. You dealt with some adversity late in the year with those injuries. I just want to know what you learned about your team that maybe you hadn't before, and kind of, learning to persevere without them.
Yeah. You never want injuries, especially at that point in the season. I give my kids a lot of credit with their resilience, really. And why I say resilience is we knew that we were in a position to host strongly, firmly, looking at the 2-3 seed, and then those guys go down. And then you've got to find a different way to win, because not only is it two impactful all-league players, but one's your relentless rebounder and one's your point guard. But you also have, therefore, you have less depth. So you're at the end of the season when you're most fatigued, and you've got less people. You got 30 minutes a game times 2 that no longer is available. And so the resilience that it took for those guys that played, the resilience that it took for them to play a different way, because when you play a different point guard, it's just a different style that you have to adjust to. So I think the resilience, and the 2 injured guys and what Renaya and Alyssa did to come back so quickly, I think their resilience. And I liked how Maria worded it. There's a solution-oriented mentality of this group. And I think we just quickly found solutions as best we could, as well as those that were injured finding solutions so that they could also be more able to help us. But in the moment, it was really hard, and I just said to myself, we'll be better in March once we get through it, and I hope to prove that.
Down here.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Courtney, if you could put on your WBCA hat for a second.
Yeah.
Obviously, having units this year is something new and a good step for women's basketball. So just talk about that for a second. And the other part is, you've been around the game for a bit now. When you first started coaching, it's very different than it is now as far as things that you guys have to deal with. It's not just X's and O's and recruiting. It's now transfer portals, NIL, other things that I'm guessing when you first got into coaching was not one of your concerns. So just thoughts on where this game is headed as a coach. Would you suggest to young coaches that, hey, this is still worth getting into, or find something else to do with your profession?
Yeah, 100%. I'll start with that part. I've always said this, but college athletics has changed a ton. I mean, I came from non-scholarship Division I, and since then we went through COVID, we added a transfer portal, we added the NIL. I mean, a lot of things have changed even in my time at Carolina. But college athletics has always been about 2 things: the talent that plays it and those that support it, right? And I just don't think that part will ever change. And so as a coach, and for people asking about young people joining the business, if you care about other people's journeys and you want to be a part of those that support it, it remains the best profession in the world. It's not easy. And I often say there are easier ways to make money, for sure, but I'm not sure there are better ways to spend my time, right? You're kind of in that sort of mix. But yeah, it has changed tremendously, and I just try to really, you know me well, I just try to keep focused on what makes me successful: connection, solutions, resilience, and then that's kind of how I handle the business as a whole. WBCA, I mean, that role has given me access to so many different conversations and in so many different rooms. In every conversation, in every room I've been in, I just say units over and over. I mean, it's like it was my first and last word I ever spoke, right? Because it is overdue, right? And is the number right on units? No, it's not, but it's a start, right? And it allows us to be validated and rewarded for postseason success, which on your own campus now puts pressure on your administration to value and invest in your women's game, right? It's basic economics. And so you watch these tournaments, watch Carmichael tomorrow, and go across the tournaments. Women's basketball is on fire, and to not take economical advantage of that would be both on your campuses of those programs that have invested in women's basketball, but also nationally would be a mistake. And so I'm grateful that the rooms I've been in as the president of the WBCA has allowed me to just keep pushing. And people who know me know that if I think it's right, I'm going to keep pushing, right? And alongside of many others, we were able to just say it enough to ensure that units have arrived, and I think it will only improve as our game improves. I always say, as women, we just got to provide value. If you provide value, just keep doing that day to day. And as we've done that, we're continuing to see the growth of our game.
Down here to the left.
Case Shoemaker with the Daily Tar Heel. Courtney, obviously, we just talked to your 3 veteran players who have had a lot of March experience. But on the flip side, how do you go about preparing freshmen and sophomores who have not seen this environment or played, like Sierra or Lainey or Blanca and all them?
I mean, it's a little bit like preparing me to be a parent, right? You just kind of figure it out as you go, right? I was in probably at I don't know what time, but Lainey's in the gym working. I mean, there is a moment to reflect on this. There's also a moment when that ball goes up that it's the same sport we've been playing. But I think there are certain things in life that I'm not sure you can really prepare for. And I think there are more of those moments than there are not, right? I always say you operate in 2 ways. You're either afraid of failure or afraid of regret, right? I choose to live, and I hope to surround myself with those that are afraid of regret. So what we're not going to do is be afraid we're going to, and potentially, therefore, be afraid of failure. We're going to be afraid that we're going to regret how we don't perform in these moments or what we don't bring in these moments. So I don't really know how I can prepare them for it. They might be a little starry-eyed. They might be. I'm not exactly sure. But I know that we'll make sure that she and her young classmates don't regret the opportunity that they've earned.
Mitch Northam, SB Nation. Units, you know, if I have this right, because of the ACC's Success Initiative, you know, women's basketball is a part of that.
Yeah.
So as teams in the ACC earn units, women's basketball, you're going to get a bigger piece of that because you were winning those games. I guess, what does that just say about, like, this conference and how it cares about women's basketball? And if you were a part of those conversations at all, like, you know, it sounds like the ACC was kind of pre-preparing for units to come.
Yeah, I think that those are decisions, fortunately, that I've got other decisions I have to make. I don't have to make those, right? Or I don't get to make those, maybe. But I think that this conference has been awesome. I mean, the level of preparedness you get from every night. There's a level of investment across the board, perhaps some more than others. But, you know, there's just, I remember when I left the Ivy League, part of it was, you know, I think our margin of victory my last year was 27 points a game, right? And I just needed a different challenge. I was ready for a different challenge. And then, I'm not kidding, I say it every year, where's the bad team? I'm like missing some of those 27-point wins, right? There's just not any bad teams. And so the ACC has prepared these teams that are playing in March really well, and they should be proud. They should be really proud. Even if those teams themselves aren't playing, be really proud because they have prepared all of us who are, and I think we're all better for their part in our journey. And, you know, it's fun to root for them. It's not fun to play them.
Matthew Maynard, Tar Heel Tribune. Courtney, you just heard Alyssa talk about how special it is to get to play in Carmichael again. What was kind of the process over the past couple weeks with her, and how special is it for you as her coach to see her get at least one more game and potentially two more games in Carmichael, and just your relationship with her?
Yeah, I mean, this is a house in a lot of ways that she's rebuilt, right? And for her to not have her name announced on senior night was really hard, right? And knowing that, and then hearing her ovation at the NCAA tournament, I won't forget it, right? She deserved it. And I know there'll be a lot of people that are so grateful for what she's given to this court over her 5-year tenure. And the fact that we can host, she said it so eloquently, like the fact that we get to host, we get to give back to the fans and the people that have supported us. I mean, this place is rocking, whether it's our students or our general fans. It is one of the premier places to play in the country. And unfortunately, I don't get to be a part of that. I'm coaching, right? So I don't get to sit and enjoy it in the same way. But there are a lot of people that have choose to show up. And the fact that we get to bring March Madness to them, like, I'm almost as happy for them as I am for my team because of how much they have been a part of our success, and they make this a home court advantage all year, and we literally are bringing them a gift in bringing them March Madness. So super thrilled. And for Alyssa, it's a main reason she came back, you know, her wanting a chance to host. And it's a main reason she came back so fast from being sidelined was that the opportunity to give it back on the court a few more times.
We've got time for one more. We good? All righty.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Coach. Good luck.